Today we are taking a look at a game from 2001 called Hunting Unlimited 1, for posterity's sake. If you think it's a hunting game, well, no shit, Sherlock, it says so in the name. Make no mistake though, this is technically a first-person shooter. All action happens from the first-person view, you play as an actual person, you have full range of fluid, non-discrete movement, and you, well, shoot guns in real time. And bows too, which actually suck, but more on that later. Now, an argument could be made that it's a hunting sim, not an FPS, but this can of worms is better left for a separate video that I should probably make at one point. What is a first-person shooter? After all, it's not that I have better things to do. I'm sitting in an underground bunker in Siberia, guarding doomsday weapons with a couple of weirdos in Ushankas. And the only communication with the outside world we have is the internet. And looking at the state of the internet, is there really anyone alive left outside except bots and AI? So, back to the game. History time. This game has a somewhat convoluted history that involves several dev studios and publishers, so if you are bored with this sort of stuff, feel free to skip straight to the next chapter. This game was primarily developed by a company called CSC Software, hailing from Czech Republic. These guys are known by general gaming public mostly for their Euro Truck Simulator 2 cash cow, which they keep milking since 2012, and it still won't die, just like some animals in Hunting Unlimited 1. CSC Software do have a bunch of other truck simulator games, and they have also released a bunch of other Hunting Unlimited games, but the last one was in 2009. Trucks and hunting, what a familiar combo. These guys were helped, not sure to what extent, by Sunstorm Interactive, an older dev studio from US, closed down in 2003. Now, Sunstorm's breakthrough game was Deer Hunter in 1997, which was arguably the first game to put hunting sims, quote-unquote, on the gaming map for real. I mean, it sold 1 million units in the first year after the release, not bad for 3 months of work, for 5-member dev team on a 125k budget. Sunstorm continued to churn out other hunting games, and by 2001 they had around a dozen of them out. It seems logical to use their experience, especially given that Hunting Unlimited 1 was only a third game ever developed by CSC Software. Now, it seems that there's been some level of collaboration between CSC and Sunstorm that went beyond Hunting Unlimited 1, and I have no idea why, geographically speaking, or to what extent. Probably possible to dig this all up if you dumpster dive through archive.org long enough, but I am not that interested in this. Hunting Unlimited 1 was originally published in the mid-space, retail, by Rush Entertainment and Velusoft on November 24th, if you believe PC Gaming Wiki, or 25th if you believe Steam, in obviously 2001. Rush Entertainment was a short-lived US publishing company established in 1999, which was later bought out in 2005 by HIP Interactive, not the wellest known of names, who in turn quickly went bankrupt. The most known published game by Rush was Duke Nukem Manhattan Project. Hehe, what a mess. Now, Velusoft, on the other hand, was a division of THQ Incorporated before THQ went bankrupt, and you can imagine what sort of games they published when a company known for budget games has a separate division for even more budget games. Velusoft, by the way, was acquired by a company called Cosmi Corporation in 2012, after THQ went bankrupt. Cosmi, in turn, was known for publishing literal shovelware, like the lowest of the low, both in terms of price and quality. Now, I am not saying Hunting Unlimited 1 is shovelware, I'm just saying it wasn't exactly hanging around with the particularly well-established titles. How come this game is legally available in Steam? Well, Cosmi got eventually acquired by Ziggurat Interactive, a publisher well known in nostalgia gaming circles. These guys seem to be focused on classic games from 19s and 2000s, stuff like Terminal Velocity, Blood Rain, Crash Kill and Destroy, Corridor 7, Operation Body Count, mamma mia. Okay, well, I guess digital preservation is like justice, merciless, random, and sometimes not available in your region. Anyway, in 2020, this game was finally published digitally on Steam by Ziggurat Interactive, alongside other Hunting Unlimited games, which you can actually buy as a bundle for a relatively low price. This concludes our history lesson. Now let's speak about what the game is made of and how to make it run. The digital version of the game from Steam comes patched to the latest version 1.1, which adds 5 master campaigns. More on those later. It eats up 69.1 megabytes on your hard drive. To put this into perspective, let's take Doom, the original one, also version 1.1, coincidentally. It's only fitting to use the most legendary FPS of all time as a measuring unit for other FPS games. Doom version 1.1 used up 11.1 megabytes of space. So, Hunting Unlimited 1 is around 6.2 Dooms, which is actually quite lean for 2001. Contemporary games like Return to Castle Wolfenstein were pushing 70 Dooms or 0.07 kiloDooms at the time. Hunting Unlimited 1 actually works out of the box just fine, without forcing you to squat, as the Russian saying goes. It's running on the Prism 3D engine. It's an in-house engine of CSC software, used for running most of the games and their games only. There was one third-party game using this engine called 911 Fire Rescue, but that's about it. Now, the only third-party fix I would recommend to use is a widescreen resolution / field of view fix that can be downloaded from PC Gaming Wiki. Once you download it, just follow the instructions, they are straightforward. Unpack the files, modify the ini file manually to set up the resolution and field of view factor. For reference, I've set field of view factor to 1.2 for the Quad HD resolution I'm recording the gameplay at, and it looks fine. Also, don't forget to download a patched WinMM.dll file from the Ultimate ISI Loader project on GitHub to make the field of view fix above work. Other than that, I did not really notice any issues when running the game. I did experience some crashes to desktop, but they were rare and mostly happened when I tried to Alt-tab out of the game and back too often. 2 times when I restarted the mission, I was met with a black screen instead of render world, and I had to relaunch the game. Apparently, rendering engine has crashed because even the main menu background, which is also rendered, was black. I could see the menu items, thankfully. One last technical note for the really curious meatbots out there. A lot of game data is stored in the .zipfs files. These are basically zip files, and they have some quite interesting stuff like object locations on maps, animal spawn data, weather conditions for missions, and so on. I did not try to change any of that personally, but it should be easy enough. Extract the required file, change what you need, put it back, and go have fun. Or not, I don't know, haven't checked. Let's unwrap this candy and talk about the actual game. Hunting Unlimited 1, unlike many other hunting games, is not structuring player activities around free roaming. It is broken down into many small missions, hunts really, which are grouped into campaigns, which are in turn grouped into episodes, like nesting dolls. This might be a bit confusing at first glance, so let's unconfuse things a bit by doing a crude comparison. Episodes in Hunting Unlimited 1 are like DLCs or expansions in your favorite classic FPS game like Duke Nukem 3D. Campaigns are like episodes in First Doom or Blood, and missions are like individual levels in any of those games. There you go, not that hard. There are 6 episodes in the game, 1 tutorial and 5 animal-specific episodes. Tutorial episode has only 2 campaigns, one for basic stuff like learning to walk, shoot, track, drink, complain about the weather, and so on, and another campaign with some actual hunts, where you're supposed to try out your new skills. Then there are 5 proper animal-specific episodes. One for white-tailed deer, one for mule deer, one for elk, one for moose, and one for bear. All these episodes have 9 campaigns each. Usually, campaigns group missions with a similar theme, for example, hunting with bows, or hunting from tree stands, and so on. Each non-tutorial campaign always includes 5 missions, or hunts. Let's do some napkin math. There are 8 missions in tutorial episode, 5 in the first campaign and 3 in the second. And 5 times 9 times 5 equals 225 missions in the regular episodes, which brings our total to 233 missions, which is a lot, even if it takes you only 5 minutes to complete each mission. And some of them can be done faster, but some take way longer, and some you'll be replaying multiple times. It would take you around 20 hours to complete all of them. My playtime after finishing the game was a bit more than 30 hours. Is it a lot or not? Well, it's all relative. Like my comrade in arms Ruslan likes to say, if it's stars in the sky, 30 is nothing. But if it's stab wounds, 30 is overkill. Ain't that right, Ruslan? What? Depends on how dull is your spoon? Боже мой. Anyway, same here. 30 hours might be nothing for a CRPG or a strategy game, but for a single-player FPS, it is way longer than average, right? The good thing is the game does not force you to complete stuff to unlock more stuff. All episodes, campaigns, and missions are available right from the start. There is an assumed logical progression. You go from episodes left to right and through campaigns and missions from the top to the bottom of the list, but nobody is forcing you to do it this way. Each episode, except the tutorial, also has a master campaign, which I mentioned above. It's the last one and it contains the hardest and longest missions. These campaigns were added in the 1.1 patch for free. Something almost unbelievable these days. The game has only 5 unique maps shared between all missions: Alaska, Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, and British Columbia. While maps themselves are the same in terms of topology, what differs from mission to mission is stuff like where do you spawn, which weapon do you have, how many animals of which species are spawned and where, time of day, weather, and other stuff like animal gender. Gender is actually quite important in the context of hunting, since your hunting tag, the legal permit allowing you to hunt an animal, can limit you to not just the animal species you're allowed to hunt and their number, but also their gender. Sometimes you can kill a buck, sometimes you're only allowed to shoot a doe. Such is the life of the hunter. Hey, it could have been worse. At least the animals don't seem to be politically conscious, so they only have 2 genders. Just imagine what could have been. You have a buck license. You find one with a pair of magnificent antlers. You shoot it only to have the game tell you that you shot the wrong animal, because this particular deer identifies as they/them. Could be a fun idea for a game, actually. All 5 maps are large square boxes with some hills, trees, grass, some small man-made structures, and invisible walls at all 4 borders. This last thing might be immersion breaking, but it also can be quite helpful, because if you spook a wounded animal, they run away from you, surprisingly, although moose and bears can run towards you to attack, which is even better. And when they run away, they often run into these invisible border walls and keep running into them or alongside them, which lets you get close and kill them for good. The missions themselves are usually straightforward. Almost all of them revolve around finding a particular animal and killing it, often with some specific conditions like shooting them in a vital area or a mission being on a timer. The majority of these missions are pretty short, couple of minutes at most, and they remind me of the first Delta Force game in that regard, where many missions, especially in the beginning, were like that, brief and to the point. Completed in just a couple of minutes. I liked that because it felt more real and less gamey, unlike the rest of the Delta Force games that followed. In the first Delta Force game, it was like, here's a real Spec Ops task. Let's think about what sort of environment it could realistically take place in. In the next games, it was something like, I've made a cool level that we can also use for deathmatch. It could fit enough objectives for up to 20 minutes of gameplay. Think of a mission for it. But I digress, this is a topic for a Delta Force video, and we're talking about Hunting Unlimited 1. I admit that it's fun to get some quick dopamine by completing these bite-sized missions quickly one after another, not unlike watching TikTok or YouTube Shorts. However, the problem with these short missions is that while they're short and straightforward, they often feel very samey, basically boiling down to the following formula: move forward from where you spawn, use whatever scents, calls or lures you were given to attract the animals, and shoot them. This pattern stops being particularly fulfilling after a while. You start longing for more involved missions with more diversity, actual tracking and less restrictions on mission conditions. Basically, you want something that makes you feel like you're an actual hunter instead of being a glorified moving turret. And based on internet history, this is what people have been complaining about. Back in the day, they wanted more of a free-roam game, make your own hunting adventure, or at least if we're keeping things structured. Missions that are closer to real-life hunting experience, missions that give players more agency, more freedom. And this game has such missions, well, to a degree. But first, they are relatively few and far between. Second, and more importantly, after a certain time spent on other, shorter missions, you acquire some habits that you take into these longer missions with you, spoiling the experience. These habits, while useful, tend to break the immersion. For example, when you wound an animal, you're supposed to slowly track it by following a trail of blood and tracks. In game reality, it often makes more sense for the player to either rush after the animal, hoping that it will get stuck on the map edge or scenery, or restart the mission altogether, because it will be quicker to try again, hitting the animal with a shot that drops it right away. It's a classic case of optimizing the fun out of the game, I'm afraid. And once you get these habits, it's very difficult to enjoy these longer missions. Sad but true. And that's not all. Some of the missions are not really supposed to be long, but de facto are long because of the I have no idea where to go thing. This happens when a mission doesn't really give you meaningful directions and you are stuck in a trial and error loop. It's often exacerbated by the fact that many missions have time limits which suck, because all time limits suck and you cannot convince me otherwise. People did not play games to have a deadline ticking over their heads. They got that shit at work already, and they're playing games to get away from that crap. I admit. Timers have a use here though. Mission timer can immediately tell you if you're doing something wrong. If there's a 3-minute timer on a mission, it means the animal you're supposed to hunt is already very close. And if you're not seeing it after 2.5 minutes, you are either looking at the wrong place or you have already scared it away. Regardless, I must declare my undying hate for timers in all their forms and purposes. Hunting Unlimited is not unlimited if it's time limited, suka. To make matters worse, some mission criteria can be weird, or annoying, or both. Some missions give you a whole combo of conditions, like you must kill only the biggest buck from the herd, only vital shots count, meaning lungs or heart, and you have to do a close range shot. And there's a timer on top of that. What kind of obstacle course circus is this? Come on. Here's the thing. Good one, I guess. Some conditions are, let's say, soft requirements, meaning you can break them and still complete the mission. You will simply get a score penalty sometimes, and like, who cares? I personally don't care about scoring in a non-competitive single-player FPS/hunting game. Oh my god, game, you gave me minus 75 points for this hunt because I ignored the distance requirement. Are you gonna cry about this? Cause I sure as hell won't. Now, there are things that can actually ruin your day in Hunting Unlimited 1, like tracking. When I was waiting for the game to be installed, I've read a bunch of Steam reviews, and quite a number of them mentioned that tracking animals is broken because you cannot see the tracks or the blood on the ground. As a matter of fact, the only Steam guide for this game is about dealing with the whole tracking thing. And while I didn't really have this problem, even I found this guide useful, because following tracks in this game is not easy. Essentially, the solution is to lower the texture details in the game settings so that you can see tracks and blood more clearly. Does this make the game more ugly? Yes, absolutely. Can this help you finish a mission? Also, yeah. Here's the thing that this guide does not tell you though. When you lower the texture details to a certain degree, you essentially remove the foliage, and as the result you can see the animals way farther than it's possible otherwise. So if you're lost on a mission and you don't know where to find your prey, exit your mission, turn down the texture detail, load the mission again and enjoy finding your animals. Just make sure in advance you are not going to be traumatized for life by the late 80s flight sim graphics that you're about to see. Speaking about hints, here's another one. Use headphones. Sound direction is important here, and headphones make it much easier to identify where the animal sounds come from when you use a lure. Also, if you use headphones, nobody around you will be shooting bricks and calling alarm when you shoot a gun on the game, like a certain comrade of mine did, right, Vova? And this can happen because the sounds your guns make in this game are really great.
Right. Okay.
They are realistic and they are also really loud, especially given there's no music in missions, only sounds of nature that create ambience but don't drown out the important stuff. I especially love the long echo after a shot. It adds this feeling of the irreversibility of consequences. Like you've made your shot, now everyone on the map is running around screaming and dropping turds like a squirrel who just saw a ballistic missile launch. All in all, pretty good sound design, much respect. Since I've mentioned guns, let's talk about them. Weapons are a key thing for an FPS game, a part of the holy FPS Trinity for me, which is maps, enemies and weapons. Basically your constraints, your challenges and your tools for overcoming these challenges. Hunting Unlimited 1, being a hunting sim, is not a traditional FPS game, so the way weapon dynamics play out here is different. Here's the deal. When you start any mission, you are given only one weapon, and you cannot choose what it is, it's part of the mission conditions. I think there's literally just one mission out of all of them where you are given two weapons, a gun and a bow. And that's it. Now, when you play Doom, for example, you have to make tactical choices which weapon to use in which context. You shotgun grunts and imps, you chainsaw pinkies, you chain gun kiloDooMs, and so on. Making these moment-to-moment decisions about which tools are best used in a given situation is a huge part of what makes FPS games fun. Think about it. Weapons are your main tools for interacting with the world in an FPS game. So when a game does not let you choose your weapon, this changes the fundamental gameplay equation. It means you have way less choice about how you overcome challenges. Now, there's choice and there's choice. Choosing which challenge to tackle, say in an open world RPG, is one thing. Not everyone wants to do it, and you can do without it in a game. But having to choose how to solve a challenge that's already in front of you is an inherent, fundamental part of almost any game I can think of. Take away the weapon choice and you're gonna hurt something that matters for all FPS players. So now, to compensate, you have to give something else a bigger part to play in your overall gameplay loop to make sure players can still exercise their agency and feel they're in control. This just by itself can hurt your gameplay, because the less things you're giving the player, the more exaggerated they're likely to be, because they're taking a bigger proportion of the overall gameplay. One last note, removing weapon choice often railroads you into certain behaviors and interactions you would not have otherwise. So it can be fun if it's temporary in a challenge mission sort of way, but when you have the whole game where weapon choice is absent, that feels really different. To add insult to injury, all weapons have unlimited ammo in this game, which is another interesting aspect of gameplay. I suspect that some people underestimate how fundamental ammo management actually is for first-person shooters. Your weapon choice at any given moment is dictated not only by which weapons would be most effective against the current selection of enemies, but also by things like how much ammo you have right now for your selection of weapons, how much ammo is in the magazine if the game uses magazine system for its weapons, how fast is the reload, what's the max ammo you can have for a weapon. All these things matter, and they matter a lot all the time. They inform your tactical decisions when you play your game. Since you have unlimited ammo in Hunting Unlimited 1, well, at least something is unlimited in the game after all. All you need to care about is magazine capacity, which is usually around 5 or 6 rounds. and reload speed, which is not fast at all. Now, weapon choice might be de facto absent from the game, but knowing the perks and limits of what the mission gives you is still important. More specifically, it matters more which weapon type you're given in a mission than what the exact weapon is. See, you have a couple of guns with iron sights, like a shotgun. They're useful roughly up to 50 meters in the game. There's a number of hunting rifles with optics, including one muzzle loader, a pretty weird choice in my opinion. These are useful roughly up to 200-300 meters in the game, and yes, you have to account for the bullet drop with these distances. And finally, there are bows. Optimal working distance 25 meters. There's no point in talking much about specific guns. They are pretty similar, with caliber and magazine capacity being the main differentiators. But I have to talk about the bows. Oh my god. My main source of frustration in this game is goddamn archery. It is genuinely, legitimately broken, no exaggeration. You can easily hit a bullseye from a bow on the target range at 25 yards, 10 times out of 10. But shooting an animal from the same range, especially deer for some reason, guess they have weirder hitboxes or something, is an exercise in frustration bordering on futility. Putting it simple, your arrows often disappear or literally get stuck in the air. The only somewhat reliable way to hit an animal with a bow is to make sure you are shooting at it as it comes straight towards you, face forward. Bow hunts are very, very infuriating. There is no shortage of people complaining about them in YouTube comments under Hunting Unlimited 1 videos. Thankfully, you can skip these hunts if you don't want 100% game completion, but man, shooting a bow in real life isn't easy, but at least your arrows don't get stuck in the invisible textures. Speaking of broken things, there are two missions that seem to be screwed up, at least in the digital release. In the master campaign of the Mule episode, there's a mission Master Tree Stand Hunt, which I tried to complete at least 6 or 7 times to no avail. Every time I kill the designated target, I cannot claim it. The prompt for claiming this mule bug simply does not appear as I circle around its carcass like a vulture. I've checked the videos on YouTube and I know it's the right animal. When you hit the wrong one, the game tells you so, and I do it from the tree stand as stated in the mission description/requirements, although it's never been a hard requirement in other similar missions. Another mission that seems to be broken is called The Hunt for Elk. It's from the Elk episode, King of the Hill campaign. I am able to complete the mission technically. I mean, it says so and shows the trophy screen, but every time I've tried to complete it, which was around 30 tries with a couple of successful ones, it always gives me a perfect 0 score, even though all win conditions are properly met. I guess some of the scripts containing mission win conditions were screwed up, but at this point I was way past looking at scripts and trying to fix them. Some things in the game are not broken, as in they seem to be working as intended, but they're pretty weird. Take water for example. Water is either cosmetic or instant death. You can run on water right across the surface regardless of depth, literally like a hunter Jesus or something, unless you get into water on the edge of the map where at some random point you just die instantly. Also, some moose missions forbid you to kill moose while they're in the water, and it's a hard requirement. You do that and it fails the hunt. But other moose missions don't have this limitation for some reason. Maybe it's a map specific thing, but it's weirdly inconsistent. You can also die from fall damage. Hint, don't jump from hills. Or you can be killed by an angry moose or a bear. There are no hit points or anything. You're like an ultimate glass cannon. One hit and you curl up and die. Animals, on the other hand, apparently have a rudimentary body fluid simulation. If you hit them with enough firepower a couple of times, this is where gun caliber matters. They will bleed out and die, even if the hits are to the body instead of the head, spine, lungs or heart. These are insta-kills. Another weird thing I noticed is some of the lingo that the game uses might be unusual. First time I saw the game tell me, go up the hill and glass the area, I was like, what do you mean by glass the area? You want me to nuke a couple of deers? Are you for real? Oh, you mean use your binoculars to observe the map? Well, you'd better be careful with what you ask me to do, game. I've got some doomsday clock type of shit in my bunker. You gotta watch your language. Let's sum it up. This is one of the oldest hunting games you can get in digital format legally. I know only 2 hunting games that are older and officially available in digital form those days. The first one is Safari Hunt Challenge from 1998. It was initially a commercial game, later made freeware some time ago, but nowadays it's basically abandonware, so some Google foo is required to get it. The second is Redneck Deer Hunting, a spin-off of Redneck Rampage FPS franchise, also released in 1998, but at least this one is available on Steam. Not that I recommend buying it. Hunting Unlimited 1 is definitely a much better hunting and gaming experience than those 2 games. So if you want to legally play something from the era of hunting sims infancy, but without dealing with the shitty diapers, so to say, get this one. It's a no-brainer. A short postscriptum for the meatbots that go, "It's unethical to kill animals." Well, it's unethical to kill people too, and you do it all the time in video games. So spare your drama for your mama, okay? Or I guess I'll have to waste more time on ranting about this next time I dig up another hunting game. That's it, comrades. See you next time.